Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today at AWS Security User Group APAC June Meetup. We are excited to welcome Pranay Singh, Senior Manager of IT Operation at Cross Country India, as our speaker. He have over 18 years of experience. Pranay is IT leader, specializing in cloud infrastructure, DevSecOps, cybersecurity, and service desk transformation. At Cross Country, he has been at forefront of driving CI/CD automation and embedding shift-left security practices principle from the ground up. So today he will be presenting security, the cloud, what every AWS user need to know, a topic that resonates strongly with every cybersecurity professional or AWS practitioner. So I'm confident his insight will be offer a practical takeaways for all of us. So let's give a warm welcome to Pranay Singh. Pranay, over to you and all the best.
Hey, thank you so much, Mintu, for giving me this opportunity. Let me begin this by thanking a couple of people. First, my friend Amit, who is here also on the call, who suggested me the idea of participating in this forum and presenting this topic in front of all you lovely people. And second, Mintu, who have been bugging for almost a couple of weeks or more than a little more than that, maybe, with whatnot or multiple questions that I had, and he has been patient throughout. All right, so so with the vote of thanks out of my way, let me let me begin the presentation. Let me start with the topic then. All right, so hello, everyone. Thank you for being here today. I am Pranay, and I'm really excited for speaking on this wonderful forum of AWS user group, and that too about a topic that is so very close to my heart. And frankly, it's very critical for every organization today. It's AWS security. The session that we are going to let me quickly share my screen. So Google Meet is a new thing for me, right? I mean, usually I'm a MS Team guy, so just be a little patient with me. Okay, I'll need a confirmation if all you are able to see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Okay, all right, all right. So you're able to see my screen, right? All right. So the session, as you can see, is titled Securing the Cloud, What Every AWS User Needs to Know. So as the topic suggests, AWS is really something very close to me. And I've made all attempts to make this extremely practical, not just theory, but some real world learnings from someone who has made mistakes. I admitted that there are mistakes that I've made. I've learned from them, and I've implemented the fixes that actually worked. So whether you are a developer, a DevOps engineer, or a data analyst, or any other role, my goal is to leave you today with some insights, with some practical insights, actionable steps. And yeah, having said that, let's quickly jump in. Oh, oops, sorry. Yeah, that's. But before we go to that, let me quickly give a quick bio about myself. There's too much of yeah. Yeah, I'm struggling with my mouse. All right, so here's a quick introduction about myself. I'm as I think I'm into introduce myself, but let me take up 30 seconds and introduce myself. I'm Pranay. I've been working with Cross Country India as for the last 15 odd years now. I bring about 18 years of experience across a wide spectrum of IT, from cloud cybersecurity, DevOps, service desk, enterprise reporting. And in my current role, I work very closely with both security and infrastructure team to enable secure and scalable cloud operations, especially on the AWS side. Me and my team have been at the forefront Me and my team have been at the forefront of cloud operations, I would say, implementing the DevSecOps practices and building out our shift left security culture. So that having said that, let me dive into the next one. Yeah, this is going to be our roadmap for today. Yeah, so this is going to be our roadmap for today. As you can see, this is divided into three parts. Part one is about framing the landscape. I would take some time to talk about why AWS security is so important, and it's not just one team, which is typically security team that is responsible for it, but it spreads throughout. Every team is supposed to be owning the security in the cloud, and then we will talk about the core security practices. It's about owning the code, whether it's a developer, a DevOps, or admin. These are some essential habits that we need to build into from the core security practices. And then there are finally, I was thinking about how do I make it more practical for this group who has taken some time out on a Friday evening and attending a session. So I thought maybe we'll talk about some actionables and what some 30-day plan which you can take back to your workplace and start talking about it or start implementing it right away. All right. So as you can see, why AWS security is everyone's business. Let's start with the fundamental mindset shift. It's not just one team, a security team, a group of people sitting somewhere in the corner office and everybody watching them suspiciously. No, it's not just their job, it's everyone's job. Whether you're a developer who is pushing a code, or a DevOps engineer who is configuring the infrastructure, or as I said, a data analyst who is just concerned about some reports and churning out the numbers. But still, security is going to impact us all, and it's not just about avoiding breaches. It's more than that. It's about protecting your customers' trust, your brand reputation, your business continuity. So let's look at this, at why the cloud security landscape. How does the cloud security landscape looks like today? What are the threats? What are the mistakes that we often commit because of ignorance or some other reasons? And why the most important thing, shared responsibility model, is so very important when you are in AWS world. So my goal in this section is to get everyone on the call in this room to feel that they own a piece of AWS security. Because in cloud, even a single misconfigured service can bring everything down. And that's not just a security team problem, that's the company's problem, that's the team's problem. All right. So now, if you have been thinking that this only happens to some careless startups, then this slide is to debunk that myth, or to open your eyes so that you see how some security breaches or threats have impacted some big players as well in the game. So if you look at this, we have Capital One, we have Uber, we have Accenture, Imperva. All of these companies made into headlines because of some mistakes that they committed. So in 2019, there was a breach from Capital One, and over 100 million records were exposed. And what was the cause of it? When they did the RCA, they found out that it was a misconfigured firewall, WAF, AWS WAF. It was just a simple misconfiguration that they had done on that. Similarly, a very famous famous or infamous, however we put it, GitHub leak. AWS, Uber accidentally exposed a lot of their AWS keys, which were hard coded, and they got exposed on the public record, leading to about 57 million users record being compromised. Now imagine Uber doing that, what kind of impact that has on the customer trust and the brand reputation. Look at Accenture. Accenture is one of the biggest consulting companies in the world. They left the servers with the sensitive wide data wide open, just like that. No passwords, just sitting on the internet. And the quote says it all, right? The keys to the kingdom. You see that quote on the slide? That's what it was. The keys to the kingdom. It was just lying there, wide open. And then Impera, an API key got stolen, one key, that's it. That's all it took. There was a very interesting conversation that I was having with my boss the last week, where he shared with me IBM Cost of Data Breach Report 2024. It was published by IBM, and the title of the report was Cost of Data Breach. And it talks about what is the cost in terms of hard money, what is the cost of average data breach. And the cost was about $4.45 million. Can you imagine that? $4.45 million. Now I think that's enough for a company to buy maybe MacBook for each of us, right? That's so huge. And that is why I feel, I would state rather, that AWS security needs to be baked into everyday process, from development to deployment. And the risk is too big to treat it as an afterthought. Let's move ahead. Okay. I think this if you have ever worked for even some amount of time, you would have seen this graphic, right? Seen this visual. Yeah, I see a lot of thumbs coming up. Just waiting for 30 seconds for the response from all of you. Cool. Great. Yes. So let's look at this as let's look at the common misconception that we have about from all those who move into the cloud, whether it's AWS cloud, GCP, Azure cloud, wherever we move. The one common misconception that we all have is, well, AWS handles everything. Well, that's not true. And this is where the shared responsibility model becomes absolutely critical. If you have come from a traditional data center model, which I have personally, I have come, so let me admit that I've come from a traditional data center model when I started my career back then. So if you have come from a traditional data center model, your team used to handle everything. You used to handle hardware, software, operating system, firewall, applications, data. Every layer was your responsibility, you and your team's responsibility. But in the cloud, things are different. AWS is responsible for the security of the cloud. I think, which is why you see a single quote of the cloud. What does that mean? It means the underlying infrastructure, physical servers, network hardware, regions, availability zones, all of this is responsibility of AWS. And what is our responsibility as a customer? The customers are responsible for security in the cloud, which means operating system, EC, firewall rules, IAM policies, application, and the most important thing is data. And this division creates a gray area. It often leads to assumptions, oversights, and ultimately the breaches. For example, AWS has given you the encryption tools, right? On S3, on database, but it is now up to us to configure those encryption tools correctly. It provides IAM roles to us, but the principle of least privileges, it is up to us to enforce that. AWS is not going to tell us to do that. So it's very, very important for someone who is stepping into AWS world or who has been in the AWS world for some time to understand this shared responsibility model is very foundational model. And almost every security incidents happen out of ignorance, I would say, because not understanding this model correctly. And it's, again, as I said, it's not just AWS. Whether you are in Azure, you still need to set up your NSGs and you still need to set up your key vault. In GCP, you still need to manage your IAM and cloud audit logs. So no matter the cloud provider, the cloud gives you tools, but it is our responsibility to manage those tools. Let's continue. All right. Yeah. So now that we have looked at the shared responsibility model, let's look at what happens mostly. Where could people go wrong most of the times? And these are some of the five, according to me, five most important a list of items where people often go wrong or make mistakes, rather. Let's put it that way. Public S3 bucket. This one tops the list. It is shockingly easy to accidentally expose, which also happened in the case of Accenture, which we talked about previously, to leave the S3 bucket open. And most of the breaches happen because of somebody forgot to uncheck a box. And then we have overly permissive IAM role. And it happens because it is so easy to give everybody star. Give everybody star, EC2 dot star, S3 dots, S3 star, admin, or worse, give an admin access to everyone. So that happens because of overly permissive IAM rules. Someone needs to sit down and look at it very carefully. Who needs what? If a team needs to have just list permission, then that role needs to have only a list permission or a view permission. It doesn't make sense to give star to everyone. Then comes the hard-coded secrets. The secrets or the keys which are left in the code repositories, especially the public ones, GitHub. I can't even tell how many times I've seen people committing their codes with the keys and credentials in it on the public repositories. I mean, that's a nightmare for a security team. And then comes the unencrypted data. Whether your data is in transit or at rest, if your data is not encrypted, you are leaving it vulnerable. And what's the worst part is, AWS has given us all the tools. It's just a matter of using them. It's not that we don't have tools at our disposal. We all have the tools to use the unencrypted data, to encrypt the unencrypted data. We just need to know about those. And then lack of monitoring. That's the sad part. You can't protect what you don't see, right? If you're not logging the access monitoring into CloudTrail, or you're not using guard duty, you will only know something when something went wrong after it hits the news, because in retrospective, you come to know about something, somebody informs you about something. But you can be proactive about this when you have something like CloudTrail enabled, or you have a guard duty enabled, and you're monitoring these things proactively. And trust me, guys, these issues aren't just hypothetical, imaginary kind of issues. These are real fixable issues, and they happen because of some small oversights. Let's look at the next one. All right, this is kind of my favorite slide of the pack. So this is the most important. This is the significant message that I want to leave. I will want to leave you with today's cybersecurity is not just the job of a security team. It's everyone's job. Again, as I say, I think I told this in the beginning. Whether you're a developer pushing code, a DevOps engineer spinning up infrastructure, or somebody just concerned with your data, but everybody's role is to protect the data. or by mistake expose the organization. So you see 4 icons at the below, right? And let's talk about those. The one with the clock, you see, that's timeliness, responding. So we need to respond quickly to alerts. You have patches coming your way, or if you have an EC2 based infrastructure, you have patches, you have updates. If you do not patch your servers or updates your servers on time, you're leaving your doors open to attackers. Then comes the collaboration bit. Again, security is not a siloed function, not just one function, one team, one function looking at it. It requires close collaboration between various teams, engineering team, product team, IT team, leadership. Everyone needs to know the importance of security. And then comes the accountability, tracking those security matrices, KPIs, measuring the risk, ensuring compliance isn't just happening in theory. And finally, the ownership of it. Each of us owns the security of our system, our data, and our actions. No exceptions about this. So if there's one thing you remember from this entire session, which is going to, which will stretch for some more time, is that security is not something we add at the end, or it's something that we build together from the start. Let's go to the next one. Okay, before I go on this next slide, I just quickly want to, there will be some questions which definitely, so we have kept some time towards the end, but I also wanted to be a little proactive and tell that you can also shoot your questions to Mintu or someone, so that we can collate it. And if at all there's some, if we're not able to address all the questions, maybe I'll make it sure that I respond to all the questions later. So Mintu has my email ID, he can send it to me, and I'll make sure that I respond back to each of those questions if we are not able to cover everything today. Yeah, I just wanted to put it there so that we all collate all the questions and we can address it later. All right, moving on. So I think I told about the one thing that I want to leave you with, right? And but why does AWS security really matter? Why everybody keeps talking about security all the time? Well, it's not just a feature. It is the core, or it is the foundation of the entire organization. It's not something that we turn on at the end of a project. That project gets delivered and, oh, let's turn on the security. It can't happen that way. It's something that needs to be embedded in every layer, in every team. Let's look at what is at stake. So if you see at the bottom, there are 3 points I have mentioned. What is at stake? Cost, trust, and compliance. A breach can result into financial damages, downtime, incident response, legal penalties, and even at times ransomware. You know how much capital one had to pay after that AWS breach? The capital one had to pay about $80 million after that breach. Then comes the trust part. Trust cannot be measured. It is intangible, but it's far more expensive. Once customers lose faith, it is incredibly difficult to win it back. In case of Uber, imagine someone like Uber. The real damage was not just technical, it was reputational. And then comes the compliance, right? Regulatory failures. We have HIPAA, we have GDPR. Every industry today is governed by security regulations. And failure to meet them doesn't just result in fines, it can result into business shutdowns. Right? So that last line, it can result into business shutdowns. I was thinking about this, that often and there are some people who might wonder, someone might wonder, are the businesses really getting shut down by something like this? There's a very interesting example of code spaces. I'm not sure how many of you used to use code spaces. It was a well-known company back then, got shut down into 2014 only because of this one security breach. So some hacker got into the network, into one of their EC2s, and then started demanding ransomware. And when they did not pay them off, they started deleting everything, which included all their backups, all their EBS snapshots, all their databases backups. Everything got deleted. The hacker deleted everything out from the AWS side once they got in, and code spaces did not pay them on the ransomware part. And then later, code spaces said that the cost of this breach was so high that we have to pay our customers, right? These were the subscribers started finding that the data was missing, and then they started reaching out to code spaces complaining, we pay us back. And then code spaces had to pay so many of the subscribers that finally they decided it's better to shut down the company. And they went out of business in 2014 because of that incident. All right, so let's move on. So we have looked into the previous slides. AWS, I think I told them that AWS security is not just a responsibility of the security team or any one team. It is something that every AWS user plays a role in. Everyone. Let's look at, now this is where we are going into the second phase of our presentation. The first phase was talking about why do we need to do this, and now let's talk about what do we need to do, the core security practices. So this is about the 5 areas which I feel are most important, or top 5 security practices that are not just best practices, they are the frontline defense that actually prevent breaches. IAM. I think all of us know about identity and access management. It is the foundation of the AWS security. In fact, any AWS related course that you would do, the first chapter would be IAM, if I'm not wrong. It's the foundation of the security. This is about who can access what and what they can do with it. And the best principle that you can follow in this case is the principle of least privilege. Start with zero permission and only grant what is necessary. That's the simple mantra. Start with zero permissions and only grant what is necessary. Then comes the VPC, virtual private cloud. Now think of this as a network perimeter. We have security groups, we have network ACLs to tightly control, right, what traffic enters or leaves your cloud. And we have to be very careful about this. Don't leave ports unnecessarily open, especially 22 or 3389, those kind of ports. And then comes the data encryption or the KMS, key management service. Data encryption is absolutely critical. And KMS can help us encrypt our data. Use securely. Use the KMS service to encrypt all the data related services, whether it's S3, whether it's EBS, block storage, or it's RDS, or you need to encrypt your data in transit, in motion, using TLS. And there are rules you can set up there, key rotation, where you can rotate those keys periodically. And for more custom control, you can use CM keys or customer managed keys. Then comes combination of services like GuardDuty and CloudTrail. These tools, both GuardDuty and CloudTrails, these help us understand what is happening in the environment. The CloudTrail provides us logs every API call that is coming in the AWS. Every service that is getting accessed, every API call gets logged in CloudTrail. And GuardDuty is going to analyze the data for any sign of threat, like compromised IAM credentials or any anomaly, any unusual data access patterns. So that is managed by GuardDuty. And finally, the fifth one, AWS config and security hub. These are your compliance watchdogs. Config is continuously going to monitor for any misconfiguration. And if there is any drift detected from the desired state, config is going to alert you for that. Security hub is kind of, it's like a hub which aggregates all the alerts from across all the services and gives you a central view of your security posture. And all these 5 tools, rather not 5, it's more than that, all these 5 areas, I must say, together they build a layered defense from identity to infrastructure to data to monitoring. So that's why I feel these 5 areas are so very critical. And remember, the goal is not just to deploy these, but to actively use, monitor, and refine them. And before I move to the next slide, I quickly want to talk about this. Often I get answers about where do I get these icons. So I thought I'll put it on the slide. That if you have not visited awsicons.com, please do. They have a list of icons which you can use in your presentations. And that's a quick tip I wanted to share also. Nothing to do with the security topic. I just wanted you to be aware that there is something called as awsicons.com where you can go ahead and download the icons. All right. Without digressing away, let's move on to the first line of defense. The first IAM, our first line of defense. Let's look at this into who. So IAM, as I said, IAM is about who gets access to what and how, right? And we discussed about what we want to start with. We want to start with least privilege always. And this is the golden rule. Start with no access and add only what is needed, nothing more. And the best advantage by this approach is that it reduces the blast radius. If an identity is compromised, you will have your blast radius minimized by following the principle of least privilege. And the second is again an important one, MFA for all users, especially for root users, I must say. If you are the one who is responsible for the root account or something like that, then it's your job to turn on multi-factor authenticator. It's simple, but highly effective, and it can stop many breaches in the track. So please, if you have the ownership of the root account, make sure MFA is turned on. No hard-coded credentials. In today's era, there is no excuse for hard-coding a credential anywhere. Use IAM roles and with STS to grant temporary credentials. This prevents long-term secrets from being exposed. The fourth point is something that I personally have recently discovered. I was not using it for a while, but when I found out about it and read about it, I thought I should add it to this presentation. IAM Access Analyzer. It's a very powerful tool that detects unintended. So it is going to help you detect unintended public or cross-account accesses. So if there is some role which is getting access, which is let's say you have exposed it outside, you have shared that role with some other service, some other account, or some third-party account. How do you know about that? And let's say you step into the project for the first time, and you want to understand the span of it. This is the first service you can go to and run the IAM Access Analyzer, and it will generate all the report for you, and which will tell you how is your roles getting access from where. So it continuously is analyzing your environment, and it flags if there are some broad access policies, it is going to flag that. And then finally, we need to review and rotate the permissions regularly. The permissions aren't meant to be set and forget. And that's not what we want to do. We should be reviewing them periodically, rotating the credentials and decommissioning the unused roles, right? So whether we are a developer which is spinning up a service or a security team lead, IAM should be a daily hygiene practice, just like brushing your teeth. Yeah, just like that. It's a daily hygiene practice. A strong IAM foundation, I believe, it sets the stage for everything else in the AWS security. Well, let's look at the second one, the VPC. So this diagram that this visual or imagery that I have quoted, that's the classic example of VPC. I think we all have learned VPC in the same way, right? VPC is nothing but it's like, AWS environment is nothing but like a castle, and like in any castle, you want multiple line of defenses to protect your king and queens or the crown jewels, right? Your data and the workload. So the moat around your castle, I mean, I've given the castle layer and the AWS equivalent also. The moat around your castle, it's like a VPC subnet isolation. Your critical services like database, it always has to be in a private subnet. It can't be in a public subnet or can't have a public internet exposure. No excuse on that. Your database must always sit in private subnet. The gate is nothing but a security group, and it controls who's allowed in and what port they knock on. So if you see a rule like 0.0.0.0.0, please knock somebody off who has done that. There's no valid reason. I don't see what is the valid reason for having something like that. You definitely need to trim it down or narrow it down to specific servers or specific CIDR ranges. Then guards and rules are nothing but MACLs and firewalls. These are your network ACLs. They add an extra layer of security by filtering the traffic before it even reaches your security groups or the gate. And finally, the surveillance, right? The VPC flow log. Unless you see things from your own eyes, unless it lets you see who is trying to access your environment and from which place, it is very, very essential for your audits, for your incident responses, for your SOC tools, and all of those audits. If you have some compliance regulations to abide by, make sure VPC flow logs are turned on. No excuses. Yeah, and finally, avoid your open ports. They think of an open port like a window left open in your house. So you will not do that, right? You're going to close that when it's not in use. So something similar. You always avoid any open port. So a strong VPC, in short, is like a backbone of AWS network. Don't treat it as just as a configuration task. It's like a building and protecting a fortress. Moving on. Yeah. All right. So how do we protect our data? Data is the crown jewel of any organization, and protecting data is non-negotiable. Let's look at this from two aspects. One is how can we encrypt it, and if you have encrypted it, then about the visibility part of it. So whether it's a S3 buckets or a RDS database or EBS volume, default encryption has to be there. We have something like a AWS KMS, which provides us keys to manage, and we can also rotate these keys regularly. We have customer managed keys, CMKs, available for the tighter control. So always encrypt things like S3 buckets, RDS databases, EBS volumes. Always have them encrypted. And then comes the visibility part of it. So if you can't see it, you can't secure it, right? So CloudTrail, it gives a detailed audit trail. Make sure it is enabled in all regions. All regions. I'm not just saying in any particular regions, but all regions. Because if something, for example, let's say US East 1 is your primary region, so and somebody does something nasty in US West 2, you will not come to know about it if you have not enabled CloudTrail in US West 2. So make sure you enable CloudTrail in all the regions. AWS config, then comes AWS config. It helps us identify the misconfigurations before attackers do, or guard, and then comes guard duty. It provides intelligent threat detection. Security hub, which kind of brings everything together, consolidating all the alerts from different services. So in summary, I can say encryption will help you keep your data safe, and the tools on the right, CloudTrail, config, guard duty, security hub, these are your visibility tools. They help you monitor and respond effectively. You can't protect what you can't see. So you can't recover what wasn't encrypted, right? This is something that I personally believe in and like so much. Security in the, this is all about setting up or building up security in the software lifecycle from the very beginning, from the day one, I should say, not just patching it or coming to thinking of it at the end. This approach is what I call, I think what we all know of as is shift left, meaning we move all the security related checks to the earliest stages of development, right? So I've added 5 stages here. Code. So we start with secure coding practices, restricting repo access, avoid hard coding credentials, protecting against unauthorized commits, all those sort of things. Testing. How can we catch if a secret is getting a secret from before they get leaked, right? Using tools like GitLeak or a truffle hog. So these tools you can integrate in your pipeline, which will help you detect any secrets early in the process. Then comes your build tools, static code analysis. You can use tools like Amazon, I think Code Guru. SonarQube is mostly industry preferred, but yeah, we also have some Amazon tools in that. These catch vulnerabilities like insecure APIs or bad coding practices or some logic flaws before you ever deploy. And then comes the deployment pipeline, the deploy stage. Scan the containers, use something like Amazon Inspector. Amazon Inspector is going to tell you what is wrong with the artifacts like images. And then finally comes the monitor part. Fine. Just because the code is live, it doesn't mean our job is done. So we always enable CloudTrail, which is and cloud and code pipeline, which logs all the unauthorized deployments or config drift, anything that is happening. So there's a quote, I don't recall who said this, but I found it very appealing and catchy, so I put it here. You can't test security into a product. You have to build it in. And that's the essence of DevSecOps, I must say. Yeah. All right. So what are some cloud security pitfalls? I mean, I've kept it as 5. Of course, there are few more, but I think top 5 would make sense to talk about. So again, public S3 bucket, as I said, it sounds so basic, but it is so critical, so crucial. Always audit and use public bucket policies to restrict public access. Access has to be restricted. IAM policies with star dot star. This is essentially like giving anybody unlimited power. So follow the least privileges. Hard code secrets in the hard-coded. If there are hard-coded secrets in the code, I can't even tell. I mean, I've seen people storing their credentials in README file and committing it. I mean, I start shaking my head wildly whenever I see that, but that's how it is at times. So yeah, use secret managers. So there is a service called a secrets manager in AWS, which lets you store the secrets, credentials, keys in a very secured manner. We should be using that. Security groups, open security groups is again a very basic mistake, but done so often. So there's no, and that's why so many breaches happen. Leaving ports wide open without any restriction is very, very dangerous. Always restrict access by IP, CIDR, or and port. So there's a combination of IP and port that you need to put there. And finally comes no CloudTrail or logging enabled. Again, if you're not logging anything, you're just flying blind. You don't know what is happening in your AWS account. So always have full region CloudTrail enabled so that you can trace and investigate the issues. I mean, you don't run a bank vault with no CCTV, right? I don't think anybody would do that. I mean, I'm not sure how many have a banker in their family or someone, but if you have to run a bank vault, you must make sure that you have CCTV all around. Just like that, if you're in the AWS world and you don't have CloudTrail, that doesn't make much sense. All right, let's move on to some, as I said at the beginning, that I was thinking about what do I do a little differently. So I thought maybe I'll come up, I mean, we can discuss about some practical insights or practical application from theory to practical. So far we have seen everything, we have discussed everything, right? We spoke about IAM hygiene, we spoke about securing your VPCs, we spoke about encryption, we spoke about monitoring, we spoke about CI/CD. All of this will mean little if we don't act on it, right? So this slide I wanted to put here so that we can start doing today what we have learned. And cloud environment is only as secure as the effort we put together in configuring it and monitoring it. Let's look at what are some tools, what are some actions, or what are some next steps that we can take together. Yeah. So this slide is just about the quick wins, actions that deliver some immediate impact, that can make some immediate impact with minimal effort or cost, I would say. Enable, I think I especially told about enabling MFA for the root user. If this is not done, please go ahead and do it today. Make sure your root accounts are protected. This is your first and strongest line of defense. Let me put it that way. So go ahead and start doing it from today. If you have not run the IAM access analyzer till now, please do. Most of us have access permissions lying around, and this is going to help you precisely detect that part. What is that unintended sharing of resources? Like a role that shouldn't have access to S3, but it has access to because somebody at some point gave that access. So something like this, you will be able to detect by IAM access analyzer. And then comes auditing the S3 bucket for public access. This is one of the most common causes of data breaches. Just one misconfigured bucket with public access could expose sensitive data. So this is a low effort and high impact kind of audit. So go ahead and check if there are any buckets in your AWS projects or in your projects, in your environments, which are kind of public, which are public. So if they are, I believe you should be turning off that public access. And then comes the enabling the CloudTrail in all the regions. It's not just about visibility. You can't investigate something that you did not log, right? If somebody comes and asks you, hey, what happened in that? Who created this EC2? Oh, who did that? You will not be able to answer that sort of question if you have not enabled CloudTrail in your account. So you need some visibility to be able to answer those questions. Enabling it across all regions, it is going to make sure you're not blind to unauthorized activity happening outside your default region. Again, I'm saying it's not just default region. You need to make sure it is enabled in all the regions and you're monitoring those CloudTrail logs, because you surprisingly, I've seen this multiple times. Some new resources surprisingly is spin up in a completely different region, and you get surprised by the cost, by the bill, or by the cost. Then comes the turning on the security hub. Turning on the security, it gives a unified view of your entire organization or the AWS world security posture. Right? It's going to consolidate alerts from guard duty, AWS inspector, Macy, and many more services. It is going to consolidate that all of that together and help you prioritize what to fix first. So I think that's the most important one. So and again, I've added a quote at the bottom. So security is not just about buying more tools. Sometimes it's just about turning on the ones you already have. So start small, but start today. That's all I would say on this one. Let's move on to the next one. I think there are 3 or 4 slides left. We are almost towards the end. This slide talks about powerful AWS native tools that are already available in your account and can be activated within minutes. Let's break it down into 2 sections: visibility and detection, and then comes the protection and hardening. Again, CloudTrail, it's going to log all the API activity across your AWS environment. This is like a forensic. We talked about it. Guard duty is I don't know how many of you know this, but it uses machine learning behind the scenes to detect unusual behavior. Like if somebody is trying to making multiple logging attempts from different org locations or different IP locations, or if there is a communication coming from an unknown bad IP, all those things guard duty is going to take care of. Then comes your AWS config. It's continuously monitors and evaluates the configuration of your AWS resources to ensure compliance. And it is very, very useful, powerful tool to have enabled. And then finally comes the security here. As I said, it aggregates findings from multiple services. It will look at guard duty, it is going to look at AWS inspector, it is going to look at Macy, combine all of that and present you a consolidated dashboard. And that's what you need as a security, someone who's working on the security side, right? You need a consolidated overview, a consolidated view of what my security posture is currently looking like. Then comes the protection and hardening. How to use IAM Access Analyzer. Again, I've told this multiple times. IAM Access, and I love this service. I love this service. So please start using it if you have not already used it. You're going to discover some secrets, some unknown secrets that you have not known. That there are some roles and some permissions which have been provided to overly permissive roles, I must say. And then comes the KMS, which will help you secure your encryption keys and rotate them periodically. Secrets Manager. I mean, if you are struggling to find a right service to store your keys, your passwords, your credentials, look no further. You need to use AWS Secret Manager for that. And then come finally the AWS Inspector. We have been using in my company, we have been using AWS Inspector for continuously scanning all our EC2s, the ECRs, Lambdas for vulnerabilities. And it is one of the most powerful tools. And the findings that it produces, I absolutely like it. So the bottom line is these are not any premium features, I must say. I mean, we don't see of them as a expensive or premium services. It's there already part of your AWS environment, and you don't need to. I don't see a need of waiting for a budget approvals to turn them on and use them. They're pretty inexpensive services. We just need to turn them on, and you would start seeing the immediate ROI, the output that they produce, the vulnerabilities that they will help you identify and fix. It's mind blowing. I mean, you will start seeing those immediate ROI. Yeah, and there comes the 30-day game plan, a 30-day security game plan that we were discussing at the beginning. I think I told you that it's not just one-time event, right? It's a journey. It's a journey. And I was thinking, how do I put this in terms of week by week plan or something where you know that I'm you have a digest information present in form of a small chunk which you can take and digest it and start implementing it one layer at a time. So let's start with week one, which is about your IAM and access control part. So I've given you 3 steps on that. Maybe spend your week one with just these 3 things. You enable your MFA, run the IAM access analyzer, and uncover which are those overly permissive roles, and then audit and review your admin policies. Many breaches happen from excessive privileges, excessive permissions. Spend your week one looking at that. All right. Then comes your week two. Week two is all about S3 and logging. You audit your S3 bucket permissions to ensure that no buckets are publicly exposed. Then you have your cloud trail enabled in all the regions for full visibility, right? And then finally, you, as I said, in the VPC section also, make sure the VPC flow logs are enabled to track all the network level traffic and detecting the anomalies. And plus, for the compliance reasons. Compliance reasons is very, very important, I must say. The VPC flow logs are very important for that. And then comes and once you are done with week one and week two, let's look at week three plan. The week three plan could be your encryption and monitoring. You enable the encryption for S3, enable encryption for EBS, enable encryption for RDS to protect all the data that is at rest. And review your KMS key usage. Make sure you are rotating the keys regularly. This could also be as part of your compliance or regulatory requirements. Some regulations require that you use CMK and whether you are rotating them periodically. If it is part of your compliance, go and refer your compliance checklist. If it is part of it, AWS allows you out of the box to be able to use CMK, customer managed keys, and also provides you the ability to rotate them regularly. And finally comes the AWS config, which lets you track all your resources and how they are changing over the period of time. Let's look at the week 4 now, centralized security and fixes. So again, turn on the security hub so that you start bringing all the services, security related services, MECI, guard duty, inspector, all together in central dashboard and have a overview of it. And then prioritize and remediate those top alerts. Don't try to fix everything at once. If for example, you have, let's say, AWS inspector, you are surprised, you will get surprised by the number of vulnerabilities that it may identify for you. Don't get bogged down or don't try to fix everything at once. Look at which are those critical ones, which are those high ones that you want to fix that are going to have impact on your business. Tackle those first and then approach the medium ones, then approach the low ones. So don't try to fix everything at once. You need to remediate and prioritize these alerts. And then finally, focus on resolving at least the top 3 misconfigurations. So if you have identified in all these week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, you identify some list of misconfigurations. So identify, list down, and categorize them as which are my top 3 misconfigurations, and try to fix those ones first. Again, as another quote that I liked: "Done is better than perfect." Right? You don't need to wait until you have everything lined up. Start with even one of these actions today, and you'll be already more secure than you were yesterday. All right, we have come to our presentation. Well, we have come to the end of our presentation, but in fact, your security journey starts here. So as we wrap up, I want to leave all of us with 3 simple and powerful takeaways. Security is a shared responsibility. I don't assume. It's not just about your cloud provider or your security team, developers, admins, DevOps. All of us play that role. So never assume something is secure by default. Configure it intentionally. AWS has already given you powerful tools. You just need to turn them on. All the features are there waiting to be enabled. And just all these security wins are just a checkbox away. And again, small actions that we take today can save us from major incidents tomorrow. It doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be perfect. You just need to start. So don't wait for perfection. Just start somewhere. Even fixing just one misconfiguration is going to be a big step forward. So that's, and if you are wondering where to begin, I have given some list of white papers that I personally go to often. AWS security best practices, well-architected security pillar, IAM best practices, cloud security overview. These are some list that I've compiled. That I feel these are some really good concepts that all of us need to have, need to understand, need to grasp. Yeah. And again, as I think I told at the beginning that I would want to have this discussion continue. I mean, this is just the beginning, right? This presentation or this meetup today is just a beginning. I would want this conversation, this to continue from here on. So, which is why I've shared my connect with you, my LinkedIn profile here. So you can scan this, we can stay in touch, we can we can discuss about the security in your company. We can discuss about some challenges that you are facing, and if you want some assistance with that, or you just need to discuss what's happening in the security world, we can talk about all of that. And there's my website address also I've put in there. So yeah, if you want to go there and read some blogs, I also could. I often blog about the RDS related. So that was one of my specialty at earlier at some point when I used to be a database administrator. So yeah, that's all I had for today. I know we have been up a little 5 minutes, a little over 6:05 it is.
It's okay. It happens.
I
So,
Let me stop presenting.
it's okay. Maybe.
All right.
Okay. It was very nice. Great session. I was not even a 1 minute where not paying attention. So, before wrapping up, we'll take questions. First, we'll take question from chats. We'll take a question first from Pankaj. Ask like, in what scenarios would you consider AWS network firewall a must-have versus just a recommended option for VPC traffic monitoring? Are there specific use cases or compliance requirement where it's essential?
See, from the compliance perspective, there we definitely need to work with so the auditors, whichever compliance you are trying to abide by, whether it is SOC 2 or something else, you will have to work very closely with your group of internal auditors or your security team who kind of owns that process, and they would be the right person to tell what are those controls. So each of these compliances have some specific controls which they are trying to abide by, right? So make sure that you have those checklists with you, because when the external auditors come in with a list of checklist, okay, are you doing this? You need to know that whether we are doing, because all these are very simple and easy configurations to do. You just sometimes it's out of ignorance, we don't do it often. So just work very closely with your security team, internal or your internal audit teams. They will also be able to help you to understand if it's part of your as I said, I mean, VPC flow log, it's part of SOC 2. So you just need to get that understanding from your internal teams.
Okay. There is another question from Neil. It's like, hi, can we use a hybrid security model such as Prowler by reducing reliance on some services like Inspector or Security Hub that will help to balance cost, visibility, and automation and centralized dashboard?
Yeah, I think. So the whole premise is that, I mean, it's like a Lego, right? I mean, the security. I mean, in fact, the entire AWS world is like a Lego, where you plug and play and try to form something out of it. So, but yes, I mean, I agree. I mean, there are many other options available. It's not just using a security hub. I mean, definitely you can if something like that works for you. Um, the whole premise from for me is that we are heavily AWS and Microsoft shop, so we tend to rely often on these services. But yes, for every service or every option, you have another better alternative. So, but the bottom line is, if you are able to do the POC of that service and able to see the ROI coming out of it in the least effort, then why not? Why not? We should definitely.
Okay.
How to explain non-technical management in startup that investing into AWS services rather than relying on free tier services, so building things is necessary. Okay. All right. Well, that's depends upon what kind of see, if it is, I can understand if this is a startup or something like that who are just starting in the startup, that they are more focused on the idea, right? I mean, they just want to roll it out, and there's very little attention being paid to the compliance part of it or the security part of it, and there is very limited understand unknowingly, I must say. I mean, because most of the focus is on the money or something of that sort. So there's very little awareness on the security and compliance. And being from a security background, I would say it's our duty, it's our responsibility to put your foot down. I mean, there's no second thought about it. I mean, don't just accept something which is non-negotiable. If you see something of AWS services, which is a paid service, is going to benefit the company, benefit the organization. If they don't understand, then you need to put your foot down and tell them that was ultimately it's going to come back to bite us. If the legal penalties due to non-compliance and all these have bigger repercussions. So if we have to stay in business, if we have to abide by compliances, it's non-negotiable in that sense. So I think at times it's about conveying the message in the right way. It's about making them aware that how important or how crucial the compliance is, and it's kind of non-negotiable in that case. For example, I gave you example of code spaces, which was they went out of business, right? I mean, 2014 they had to pay back so many customers that it made no sense for them to continue with the business. So ultimately they went out of business. So yeah, I mean, you can talk to your management, try to share these real life examples with them and see what understanding that builds into them.
Maybe explaining the limitation of free tier and the premium one may make change their decision. Okay.
Right. I'm beginner. I started cybersecurity in what learn roadmap and get job.
We'll give him a link for, so it's okay.
Sorry.
We'll give him a link. We have a curated
Yeah,
blog
that would
videos
be great.
in
That would be great.
our GitHub page, so we'll share those. It's not
Yeah.
uh,
Even if there are some questions that you can forward me, I think we have
yeah,
already went 10 minutes. I
we take
just
one.
wanted to be cognizant of everyone's time. So yeah, if you can share some of these questions with me later, I'll be happy to revert back.
Okay.
So
Mintu, we can.
yes, sir.
Yeah, Pranay, thank you so much. Actually, one of the best sessions I think we've had for a very, very long time. I was holding myself to come on the call, but because we've already been 10 minutes over, one of the best sessions that we have had brings us right from zero to possibly where 80% is just covered in this 1 hour. If we follow this thing, I think we'll be in such a good stage. So Mintu was just pointing to the question that I have raised. We don't want to hold you hostage here. We'll push those questions to you in a mail or something, so that if you get time, you can post it there. And again, a lot of other people are waiting for this thing. So I just personally wanted to make sure that that we thank you for your time and such a wonderful session. So thank you so much. We have lost you. Yes, so we are not able to hear you. Maybe you're also.
Yeah, that keeps happening with me all the time. When I'm supposed to be speaking, I find myself on mute.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you so much, Amit, for those lovely words. I mean, I'm thankful to you. I mean, thankful to you. I at the beginning I said that Amit Shankar presented this idea to me, and I was so very excited to participate on this forum. And thank you to you for giving me this opportunity again, and thanks to your entire group.
Sure. I hope just everyone understands what you have done in that 1 hour is really an art in itself. You have covered such a big terrain and covered all the point. I just feel that everyone here, they understand that if they just follow this, then also they would be in such a safe place. So really well done. It was not just a technical presentation, but I felt that it was an art in which you covered, you would have selected the pieces, stitched it together, and then presented in such a coherent way. So again, thank you so much. Mintu, thank you so much for always driving these sessions. You are the main admin, the force behind this thing. We are reaching probably 2,000 members soon. So thank you guys. Thank you everyone who is a member of this team. Pranay, thanks again.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Pranay. Thank you so much for accepting to do this session immediately.
Thanks a lot, guys. Take care. Thanks, Mintu. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye. Stay connected.
Okay, people are asking for next session. We'll talk about that also.
Yeah,
Maybe soon. Yes. Thanks.